What's happening, YouTube? Hisashi Booty. Long time no see. It's been a really long time this time. However, it's not like I haven't tried. I think I recorded a bunch of other videos that I tried to finish and tried to upload, but I just wasn't really happy with the outcome of how those things came out. So it's just like, do I want to put forth the effort to edit something I'm not really happy with? That's usually how I feel about things. I'm usually a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to certain things, and like I know my videos aren't perfect, but I mean, I like them to be something that I like. Like, I don't want to upload something I don't like, right? I think everybody understands that. But it is October 23rd. Yes, I believe it's October 23rd. A nice, beautiful Sunday afternoon at about 1:22 p.m. and we are headed towards Kanagawa, or at least in the Kanagawa direction. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to make a video and give you guys an update and say hello and all that good stuff. Today's objective is I'm headed over to inspect a property. I think I'm sure I've mentioned in past videos that part of my revenue stream in Tokyo is real estate, and I pay a company to manage everything for me, so I don't really have to get involved in day-to-day, because that's just a headache I don't really want. My life is already full of other stuff, so you know, paying them a relatively small fee per month to take care of everything, that's the ideal way to go. If I had more time and more resources, I would probably do it myself, but to be honest with you, when you're dealing with Japanese clients and the legal system as far as real estate's concerned and tenants and things like that, I really kind of prefer someone that's a true expert in it to manage it on a day-to-day basis. Of course, I set the rules, and you know, I set how the properties operate, you know, in line with the law as it is, but so the management company just executes the directions that I give them, as far as you know, accepting tenants. And actually, they collect tenants, and they go through a review process, and then I get the final stamp of approval, yay or nay. Well, I get to say yay or nay to the tenants they bring to me. Anyway, that's kind of how that works. But I had a water pipe break at the property I'm headed to now, and it was under the concrete, and it was flooding the water meters and whatnot. It was kind of a mess, and so the water meter people reported it to me and said, well, this is a potential health issue, because the standing water in the meter can, you know, create more problems. So it's something that I had to fix quickly, which I did. From the day they reported it until the day that was fixed, finally the final, like, you know, put new concrete down, I think it took 5 days. So it wasn't too bad. So, but I'm going out there today to inspect the work that was done, because I actually haven't been out there myself to actually see what it looks like. I got pictures, and I think the pictures are truthful, but I want to actually go touch it and look at it myself, because it's my property, you know, it's my asset, and you know, I feel better about going out there and looking at it myself. Normally I go out there, I would say once a month, depending on the schedule and weather and things like that, because I usually like to bike out there. I'm going the right way, aren't I? Yes, I am. The last time I was out there, I didn't notice that issue, and clearly the water meters were overflowing with water. So I'm kind of surprised the residents didn't report it. Like, the water meter people first found it. At least that's the story I got. Now the actual story might be a bit different, but from what I was told, the water meter people found the water sitting in the little things on the ground where the water meters are sitting, and that's when they contacted me to say, hey, this is an issue, you should fix it as soon as you can, or there could be more problems, which I don't need more problems, so you know, I'd like to fix it. And I consider myself to be a proactive, positive property owner. I tend to be proactive as far as making sure things are fixed. If a tenant has a complaint, the complaint is documented and rectified as soon as it possibly or feasibly can be done. Now that comes down to the management company, because the management company is the one that contracts the work out to get things done. If they don't have someone, like they do some stuff on their own, but then other bigger stuff they contract out to other companies, and they don't charge me any extra fee. They just pass on the cost of the work. They send me the invoice for the work that was done, and then I reimburse the real estate company or the management company, because they're the ones paying the bill first, and then I do a bank transfer to them to pay the whatever fees they incurred to get that done. But they don't charge me a service fee or arrangement fee or anything like that. I pay them a certain percentage of my revenue every month, and that's what they're happy with. I do have to pay them separately for things like contract renewals and advertising and things like that. That's on a per room basis. So when a new contract comes in and let's say, you know, if you live in Japan, you know, you've got all these little real estate offices around the stations and whatnot, and these guys, the way they make money is when they sign a new tenant to a contract, or I'm sorry, when they sign a new contract for a tenant to go into a property, they get what they call an AD fee, which is like it's a percentage of the monthly rent, and that is usually anywhere from what they call 80/50, 80/100, 80/150, 80/200, and what that equates to is paying them, if it's 80/100, then I have to pay them 100% of a monthly rent of that unit. So if the monthly rent is 120,000 yen, then I pay those guys, the real estate agent at the station, I pay them 120,000 yen. That's their fee, and that's how they make money, because basically that's they're filling the unit for you, and once they make a successful contract, if the contract is not successful, in other words, if I deny the client, then they don't get anything. So so they have their own screening process, and before even I get that application, or I should say, the flow is like this. If you go to a station, if you go to one of the a real estate offices around a station, and you want to see an apartment, fine, they'll take you to see the apartment, and then if you want to start the application process, they'll have you fill out a standard application form with all your name, address, work information, guarantor, things like that, and then that application is forwarded to my management company. They do their own investigation, background or whatever. I mean, it's not like a full background check, but they kind of review the material that the real estate agent sent, and then they make a determination if this person is viable to be accepted into the unit. And I think let me finish the process first. So once they sort the application out on their end, then it's forwarded to me for approval. So they send me all the paperwork that's submitted by the real estate agent, goes to my management firm. They adjust it, do whatever they need to do to it, then they send me everything else after that, and then I get the final yay or nay. I think the biggest sticking point for a lot of people, even Japanese, because most of my clients are Japanese. I only have a couple foreigners every now and then, but even for the Japanese, getting a guarantor can be a little tricky depending on the situation. I got 1,000 stories to tell you, but the most common thing happen is if they don't have a guarantor, like they don't have a parent or a friend or someone that they can put down as a guarantor, that will be responsible for expenses if the applicant doesn't take care of their part of it. That if they don't have that, we require them to apply to a guarantor company, and they pay the guarantor company a fee, and then that company becomes the guarantor for that applicant in the event that they don't pay their rent or whatever. And the way that works for me is if now I have had people not pay their rent, and what happens is those people will have a guarantee company or a guarantor, but what we normally do is file a complaint with the guarantee company or the guarantor and say, hey, so-and-so has not paid their rent, so you're obligated to pay this person's rent for this month or whatever. And then basically I lose money. The money gets delayed about a month each time because we have a certain timeline that we have to go by to notify the guarantor or the guarantee company, and then they process it on their end. And quite frankly, I have never had an issue collecting money in that regard. When the management company files the claim, the money comes back the next month, and then because with a management firm, God, I can't get my terminology straight today. With a guarantee company, you pay a flat fee, and that's supposed to take care of the entire term of your contract. So you don't any of you ever take this as advice, but I guess in some cases you could technically buy a guarantee contract, and the guarantee company would take care of your rent when you don't pay it. But they're probably going to get a little upset if you do that repeatedly, and they may have some other claim, they may have some other legal documentation in that says that we'll do certain actions if this is a habitual issue. So I'm just saying it's not a good idea. Please pay your rent. So anyway, so that's how that works. And I'm trying to think of I think that one of the best stories I've got, am I going the right way? I'm going the right way. Okay. I think the best story I've got is there was a woman who applied for an apartment, and this is one of my buildings that has they're kind of like 1K. They're meant for single people. And it's only in that area, it's only like 50,000-60,000 yen for a 1K. And I gotta pay attention to where I'm going. Excuse me. So anyway, this woman applied for this apartment. The rent was about 50 or 60,000 yen, and she put her father as her guarantor, which is pretty typical. She was probably like 25, 26 years old, just an average single Japanese woman. And the long and short of it is that of course we verify the information. It's not like you can just write down somebody's name and phone number and just say, oh, this person's gonna be my guarantor. I know that didn't work like that. So we actually call these people and verify the information to make sure it's accurate. We called this woman's father, who it was her father, it was his phone number, and come on, dude. And that's a fish truck, isn't it? I think that's a truck that carries fish. Anyway, so we called her father, and then he told us, he said, no way, I'm not going to be her guarantor. He said that the story he gave us was basically he had been a guarantor for her for other apartments where she didn't pay, so he had to pay. And then more importantly, that she had recently moved back home, and then when she decided to move out again, she went looking for an apartment, but then she stole money from the father, like from his home safe or whatever, I don't know. So he just had a lot of cash sitting around, and she just walked out the door with it. They didn't call the police or anything. I mean, it's their daughter, so you deal with it internally in the family. But the guy said, the guy told us, yeah, no way, I'm not going to be her guarantor. That was so funny. I mean, we've had a couple of cases like that, but that one by far was one that stuck out in my mind. That was kind of like, wow. So she really kind of she's burned some bridges with her family there, that's for sure. I don't know what she wound up doing, because we rejected her, and we rejected her on the basis that she didn't want to, like, well, I mean, come on, I mean, from what we heard, if she's not paying, then that's not a good thing for us. And Jesus, I'm still laughing about that because it was so funny at the time. But who is making a lot of noise behind me? Anyway, so we rejected her on the grounds that she probably wouldn't pay, and she didn't want to pay for a guarantee company after her father rejected being her guarantor, and we never saw her again. So I mean, it was lost money for me because I mean, I got an empty room that I need a tenant, and tenants tenants don't grow on trees. So it can be kind of difficult. Now let me circle back to the AD fee thing. So when I talk about the fee, oh, it was a Maserati. I should have known. When we pay the real estate agent, I mean, I'm talking about the agent you see at the train station and whatnot. You know, we pay them, like, if you see the ads in the window, like when you walk up to one of those agent offices, you see all these ads in the window. Well, people are paying good money for that, because that guy's just annoying now. He wants to hear himself. I understand that, but I'm trying to talk. I can't even think with that noise. Anyway, so the owners of the buildings that advertise there, we pay them good money to put those ads up in the window. So like I said, it can be 80, 50, 80, 100. I mean, it's like 100%, you know, 150%. So a month and a half rent, things like that. But some people pay up to 300% to get their ad or their apartment listed in the window, or to have it shown first. Like, you know, if you go into a real estate agent and they're really pushing you for a specific unit, it's because somebody's paying them to do that. So they're gonna pull the ones with the higher AD rates first, because that's where they're gonna make the most money. You know, simply put, I mean, if you've got a apartment that's going to pay you 50,000 yen versus an apartment that's going to pay you 200,000 yen, that's a pretty significant difference. And of course, if you're looking to make money, you're going to pick the one with the higher fee on it. I don't think I've ever advertised over AD 200. I can't remember doing that. I might have, but it's been I've been doing this for a long time, so it's possible. But there are, you know, there's a lot more to this, and I probably talk a lot more than I should have about it, but it's a good business. I mean, especially in the populated areas, you know, my units don't stay empty. Once someone vacates one of my units, you know, it doesn't take long to get a new tenant usually, but certain times of the year are more difficult because people have just moved, especially like the end of the year, like Shogatsu, like in the end of like coming up soon, like it'll be key moving season, where people are going to be changing jobs, changing schools, or getting ready for that new year to start in March. So a lot of things are going to happen between now and then. So if you've got someone that comes to you and says, oh, I want to move out in February, well, sure, I mean, that's fine. Can't say no. They have to pay their fees and whatnot based on how you know, the length of the contract, whatnot, whatever the contract says. But I'm kind of stuck because that room is going to stay empty, or it's potentially going to stay empty for an extended period of time. And for each day and week and month that room stays empty, then I'm losing revenue. It doesn't cost me to be empty, but it costs me in cash flow. The cash flow, you know, obviously drops down for each month that I don't have somebody in that unit. But that said, I've been lucky and actually very fortunate in the fact that the management firm that I'm using has been very proactive on their end in keeping the units full. So whatever, I don't know how they do it, because I've had 3 management companies over the past 10 years, and some suck. The first one was terrible. I got hooked up with them because they were recommended to me when I purchased the properties a long time ago, and then they were just, oh Jesus, they were terrible. I think they were just being, I hate to pull the racist card, but I just don't think they were giving me much as a priority as their Japanese clients. At least that's how it felt, because, you know, the other people around me that were in the same business, they were getting their apartments filled up much faster than I was. And, you know, we weren't in the exact same area, but it's pretty close enough. So, I mean, why aren't my units filling and your units are? So it was kind of suspicious. So I fired that company and got a new company. And I hooked up with this, I didn't hook up with her, but I got connected with this really great Japanese lady, and she was phenomenal. For any of the empty rooms I had, she got filled within about a month or two. The previous agency's like, oh, it's kibishi, you know, chotto mendokusai, you know, blah 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 blah. Excuses, right? They were just making excuses. They weren't being very like I said, I've said my piece with them and it's done, but I realized at the time I was an idiot. So the new company after that, they were really great until that lady left. And she got a better offer at a different firm, and it was a different business type than what I was used to, so I couldn't follow her to where she was going because that's not what they did. So they assigned some other random Taro salaryman dude to handle my properties, and he sucked. I don't know what it is about these people. And then on top of that, this firm, the second firm, they really milk the fees. And like I don't know, I had to replace a water pump at some point, and I wanted to replace the piping because the piping itself was just as old as the water pump was, and I figured, well, if we're going to pull all this out, I said, let's go ahead and put new piping in, so that's all done at one time, and we don't have to come back and fix leaks or other problems later on. And yeah, sure, you know, we can do that. Well, the first thing that happened, it's not the first thing, the thing that happened after that was then, hold on a second, a little faster. The thing that happened after that was they sent me the quote about what how much it was going to cost, and I about blew my insert word here. I about, oh my god, the water pump itself retails for 60,000 yen, and in the invoice they had 90,000 yen. What on God's green earth are you doing? Why are you adding 30,000 yen to a 60,000 yen pump? And I asked them, and they said, oh well, you know, if we buy this version, it doesn't come with the warranty. I said, yes, it does. I can go out to the freaking manufacturer, buy it myself for 60,000 yen, and it has a 5-year warranty with it. What are you smoking? So, anyway, that wasn't all. That was the first thing. And then I went down the list, you know, doing the cost calculation, looking at how much materials cost and labor and things like that. Of course, you got to pay for the labor. You can't just say, they can't just do the labor for free and then they got to charge you for parts. I understand that, but everything was just inflated. I mean, they were charging me. So let me summarize this for you. So I have to pay for like the trash disposal of the parts that were left over, you know, the recycling of the old pump, you know, the cleanup, and their parking fees, and these miscellaneous admin fees. And what the fuck is that? I'm sorry, I should have said that word. They were charging 20,000 yen for administrative fees. They were just raking me over the coals with the fees. So, you know, that invoice wound up being something like 320,000 yen, or about $3,000 US at the time. And I just flipped out. I was like, no, we're not going to do that. And that led to the beginning of me beginning to fire that company. And I contracted my own firm. I found a firm that one of my other friends recommended. They did all the like water piping and plumbing and things like that, and they could replace the pump and whatnot. And so all said and done, I went out and bought the pump myself, 60,000 yen, like I said, 5-year warranty, original, brand new pump, great. And I took the pump over to the company, and they took the pump, and then They went and did all the new piping. They installed the new pump. They took the old pump away. They did all the work that I asked the other company to do. And the price difference, you ready for this? Remember, other company wanted me to pay 320,000 yen, or about $3,000 US. This company that was recommended to me, they did the work immaculately, I might add. It was very good. I went back and inspected it. It was just, you know, exactly what I would expect. Final cost, 120,000 yen, or about $1,000 US or so at the time. So the other company wanted to bilk me out of about $2,000 because they thought they could. And when I flipped out and went back to them, I said, you know, I called them out line by line. I said, why is this so much? Why is this so much? And what are you doing? What is this 20,000? What are you doing for 20,000 yen? And you know, I said, I know the parts don't cost as much. I can go to any professional supply center and get these parts for like half the price. And the pump in particularly, like 90,000 yen. What are you talking about? So anyway, now, and let's not keep in mind I had to pay them 50,000 yen to do an emergency fix, because this pump, this is somebody's water, you know, the water in the apartments, and people were having water issues, and that's no bueno. That needs to be fixed ASAP. So I paid them 50,000 yen to go install a patch that would allow people to have water normally until I could get the main pump fixed. So I had to pay them that 50,000 yen because they did that. I didn't really have a choice in that matter, because I needed a 24-hour response to go out there and fix the pipe, or fix the patch so that people could have water, and didn't have, you know, people complaining they didn't have water. Yeah, so they did that, and I was very happy. As a matter of fact, I had them go ahead and do another pump that was a similar thing, and they did the exact same thing for the same price. Really good work. We'll repeat. ETC, thank you very much. Open, thank you. Anyway, so now I'm with the current company, and they have been fantastic, both in maintenance concerns and keeping the apartments filled, so when somebody moves out, they get somebody pretty quickly. I don't think I've had more than, I think the biggest vacancy I've had was probably about 3 weeks, and that was kind of a special case scenario where I had to kind of reform the apartment that this guy was in before. And that did cost quite a bit, but I can expense that out on taxes and things like that. It's not a big deal. But it just took longer to get everything arranged so I can move somebody into this place that was empty. You know, I started this ride. I didn't mean to talk about real estate the entire time, but I just got wrapped up in that story. And I guess to kind of close that topic, I know I get why I don't talk to many people directly these days, but I have seen on message boards about other foreigners complaining about housing in Japan and being rejected because of being a foreigner, or complaining about things like deposit and key money and those aspects of housing. I'm just gonna say that, so you don't, there are plenty of choices out there. I will admit to you, there are people out there that are going to reject you on the basis of being foreigner, although they really can't really technically do that, but they technically can because they can find something wrong with it. Like just for the same reason I'd reject a Japanese person if they couldn't find a guarantor, or they didn't meet the income requirements, or, I mean, if they can't afford the apartment, they can't afford the apartment. You know, like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to just rubber stamp that and say, oh, okay, come on in, have a good day. But I'll reject foreigners too. But I think every foreigner that has applied to me, I think I've accepted them. I don't think I've ever rejected a foreigner. So I mean, it's up to the real estate. I'm sorry, it's up to the real estate agent to communicate the right info to the landlord, and it's up to the landlord. I'm not even paying attention to where I'm going. It's up to the landlord to decide the final say, yes or no. But there are plenty of options out there. The key money thing, it's an antiquated process, and it still exists. but you can certainly search for ones that don't require it. I barely require a deposit because, you know, I want to get a tenant quickly, and the best way to do that is to keep the stupid fees down to a minimum. You know, some places will charge you lock fees, key fees, or separate from, you know, key money is gift money. It's not meant for any other purpose except for to give the landlord a gift of money, and it's like saying thank you for letting me use your apartment, which I think is BS. I love money, but I'm not gonna rip people off. I just don't have the heart to do that. But if you don't pay your rent, we got a problem, you know? I'm pretty cool with that. I mean, I'm pretty cool with everything else as long as you pay your rent. You know, I charge 1 to 2 months deposit. You got to pay the contract fees, renewal fees, things like that. I'm sorry, that's, you know, it costs us money and time to do that. And I think that's fair. A lot of people don't think it's fair, but the reality is it is a process we have to do, and, you know, so we pay people to do this process, so therefore they need to be paid as well. So therefore, you know, some things I'm not going to be negotiable on, but I try to keep deposit and key money out of it. Well, deposit yes, but key money I don't charge any key money. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, there are going to be problems out there, but there are plenty of options to go to. Just please avoid. I really wish people would avoid going to these scalping services like these that are specifically aimed at foreigners. Like I know there's some of these no contract places that you pay a higher monthly rent because it's no contract. That's a little bit different, but I'm talking about some of these apartments that are aimed right at foreigners, especially ones that can't speak Japanese. And I really truly understand that some people can't speak Japanese and can't muddle through the contract process. I understand that, so you kind of feel forced to do that. But even my main advertising company, I have a contract with Able, which is a pretty large nationwide real estate agent, and they list apartments and houses and things like that, and they even have an English page for people to get assistance through them. And I'll put the link below in the video information section, so you have that. Even, you know, and truth be told, look, I'll level with you. Able was actually the first real estate agent I used on my own in Japan, and they helped me get an apartment. Matter of fact, the first one I applied to, I got accepted to it, and I'm not sure if that was because of who I worked for or my income. I don't know, but I was like brand new in Japan. The first place I lived was, you know, already set up for me, but I needed to find my own place shortly after that. So I went to Able, and they hooked me up right away. And they didn't have very good English support back then, but I muddled through it at the time. This is long before the days of smartphones and Google Translate and things like that. I mean, they just, you know, you really had to kind of really push yourself through Japanese to get through it. It wasn't, or you could hire a translator, I guess. But in any case, yeah. So that's the company I used for the very first time, and then now after I became a property owner, I came back to them and set up a contract with them to advertise my apartments with them. I use other services like Sumo, At Home, and a couple others, but at least some of my apartments show up in online searches, right? Where am I going? Okay. Anyway, so I kind of screwed this video up, but I hope you enjoyed that information pack that I got into about real estate here in Japan. I think I probably gave way too much information you probably need to know, but that's just kind of the background of how it works. You know, you can, as a foreigner, you can buy real estate here. You don't even have to visa to buy real estate. You just need to have a broker to work with you to buy the real estate. Buying property doesn't grant you a right to live here, but you can invest in it if you want to. We get a lot of people from overseas doing that. that if you live here and you want to buy property, I'd recommend you if you have cash and have your own money, fine, you can do whatever the hell you want. But if you don't have cash and you need to take a loan out to start your property investment process, then you need to have a good status with a good company, and probably need to have your age or kin or permanent resident status. That will smooth the process a lot, especially if you have a long history working for a company. As silly as it is, that's just a huge factor. If you can document that you've been working for a large, well-known Japanese corporation, or it actually doesn't, as long as it's a big firm that's recognizable, and you've been there for quite a while, then that's probably enough. But the value even goes up more when you work for a big name Japanese firm, because that just seems to equate more trust. I don't know. So yeah. All right, well, I guess I'm going to cut the video here, because I'm trying to get out. I'm taking a long way around the Kanagawa because I didn't want to deal with the Tomei. I came this way because it's lighter traffic, and yeah, this is my exit coming up here. So I'll be at the property here in a few minutes. I'm going to circle. I'll come right back to you in a second to kind of show you what I was talking about at the Kanagawa property. If you made it this far into the video, just hang on for a few more minutes, and then we'll be done. See you in a minute, guys. Bye. All right, we'll try this again. Tried to start this video a second ago and the battery died. But anyway, we were here, and I basically came here to inspect this little patch of concrete here where they basically pulled this out because there was a broken pipe under the concrete. Because these are all the water meters for all the units in this building, and I'm going to assume because of an earthquake or something, the pipe just cracked underneath there, and then the water just kept seeping into these units here and caused the water to be just sitting inside here. So that wasn't very good, so we fixed that. But yeah, that's what I came to check, and I don't know, I guess it's okay. I mean, this whole thing kind of has a slope to let rainwater run off this way, and then into this little gullet here. Then we have a drain field that comes out of this pipe here and then onto the street. So that should be the way it is. It just feels more pronounced, I guess. A little bit of a hump here. Yeah. And I think it'll be okay. And all these were okay, apparently. It was just this section down here that got all the water in it. Wish they cleaned up a little better, though. But that's okay. Alright, well, that's done. So we can head on to some more casual riding and then go home for the day. Alright, I'll just quickly say thanks for watching. Yeah, that video turned out to be way too long, but kind of hit on some important points that I've wanted to cover in the past, but just never really had the coordination to do it. But there you go, I got some of it out today, and I might go into a little more detail on some items later on, but I covered what I wanted to say, so I'm good. Anyway, thanks for watching. I now gotta go record the update video that you just saw before this one, because this was supposed to be the update video, not a real estate video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.